Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealers and presented by Bet365. Bailey and Rudo coming to you on a Colorado Avalanche off day, the last off day before Christmas break, as they do play tomorrow, and then they'll hit the holidays. However, the holiday roster freeze actually kicked in on Friday, so we've been in the roster freeze for a couple of days. But that hasn't stopped the NHL, or rather, right before the freeze, the NHL got a good piece of business done with a couple of trades going down. Wanted to get into some of those trades, but also wanted to talk about the NHL as a whole and what the landscape looks like when it comes to making trades. Because over the last few years, we've seen a lot of teams get their business done before the trade deadline. Now, every year some stuff does happen on the trade deadline, but it does feel like a lot of names get done before that. Now, sometimes it's big banger trades in December and January, like the Mikko and Natchez trade. Sometimes it's more like a week or two before the deadline that business gets done. But especially with the Olympic freeze coming up too shortly before the real deadline, my question to you, Bailey, is our deadline day stream going to be really boring?
Part of me is kind of like a trade junkie, and I love kind of looking at certain things. I'm really hoping this trade deadline for the Avalanche is as boring as the off season was. Like that's kind of my hope. At the same time, though, like there are good things that you can kind of make out of it. Like if I don't expect it to be super exciting in terms of, they're going to go out and create this blockbuster Quinn Hughes type situation.
Probably not what the Avs are at.
Probably not. But like, I definitely would like to see some smaller things. And if that's about as exciting as that gets, I think the Avs will be able to check that off as a good trade deadline.
Yeah. So here's my question on that, though. We talked a little bit about potential targets and what may or may not be on the block for the Avs on the show the other day. You should go check that one out if you're interested in that stuff. But should the Avs be looking to get that work done early this year? And by early, I mean before the Olympics, really, not like tomorrow or something. Because we're seeing pieces already come off the board that the Avs potentially could have been interested in.
I guess my answer to that is it depends. If the Avs are eyeing a popular trade piece that could potentially, come in, help out immediately, like, yeah, get that done before other teams can sort of start to gauge on that and raise that player's price just a little bit more. But if you're looking at, pieces and assets that are sort of flying underneath the radar, I don't see any reason as though the Avs have to be in a rush for that.
Okay.
I think my answer would differ if the Avs were in a worse spot right now, too. But it's not as though they're losing games.
You're not wrong.
Like they're
not a lot of urgency to change this lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the mindset here is we have places we could improve, obviously, but in what rush are we to go and change or fix, quote unquote, what isn't broken?
Yeah. And that's totally fair. This is not an Avalanche team like last year where we saw them pretty much need to make a bunch of deals early on in the season to get to a place where you felt more comfortable with where they're at. This year, if anything, look, you always want to be making your team better. If there's an option out there that makes you better for the right price, you want to do it. But there's just not a ton of things that genuinely make the Avs significantly better this year. So the Avs definitely have the luxury of being able to pick their spots when it comes to trade targets and things like that. Also might be a team that is a little bit handcuffed with assets, especially if you're looking at futures for a roster player type of deal. The Avs don't have a ton.
No, and this is where I get caught, and it's something I mentioned on the show before, is you absolutely do have options to get better. Like that 3C spot, potential left-handed defenseman spot could be sought out. But are you getting better or worse with what you're giving up?
Right.
Like that's really the part that I start harping on as some of these moves start to get made and you see some of those pieces being moved around. Like, I really don't know as though I like this Avalanche team any better with giving up what they would need to give up in order to get better in other areas.
It's really easy to say, oh, the Avs should trade for this guy. Mm-hmm. It's a lot less easy when it's like, oh, you have to give up X, Y, Z to get that guy.
Yeah. No, it's... And... like they're in a spot right now where even some of those guys where you could make a case for maybe a Victor Olofsson, maybe a Samuel Girard are still not doing horrible things. Yeah. So like that's you've got guys who have learned the system, especially a Sam Girard who is a long tenured Av. You've got a Victor Olofsson who, yes, you'd like him to find some sort of scoring streak, but for the most part, really is not playing horrible hockey. And are you willing to give that up for somebody who you have to reteach the system? And like they play that filler until maybe potentially losing them after a May-June run.
Yeah, and I don't think there's necessarily a right answer there. The answer could be yes, it's worth it, or no, it's not. I will say, I think this is the reality of NHL trades, especially in this era. Everyone would love to give away their junk for good stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you want to acquire a player that is legitimately good, you're going to have to give something back that is also good. Mm-hmm. That's why you often see veterans get traded for young guys, betting on experience or betting on youth. Very, very common. And then again, the assets, whether the Avs are willing to give up prospects or picks or whatever, could be an option as well. Again, the Avs don't have a first, second, or third in 2026, though. It would be 2027 and picks and beyond if the Avs were looking to give up picks. So,
and the way that Chris McFarland and company are kind of building this team too, I don't know how excited I am about the potential of like trading away some of these assets for a rental when that's not a long-term solution. And some of these things, like we've finally seen them lock up a 2C. You see a Brock Nelson sign for a long-term deal. Now you have the same existing problem, but at 3C. And what is the long-term solution there? Because as much as I love the idea of maybe trying out a Jack Drury there too, we've already established that this guy is an elite 4C.
Yes.
And playing 4C for the Colorado Avalanche is a treasure in a lot of cases.
It can be a fun time. Yeah.
While a Jack Drury may want to go get more minutes somewhere else too, I don't know as though he's completely heartbroken about playing underneath a team that is performing as well as the Avalanche are.
Yeah, the rental conversation is one, I always say this. If you win the Stanley Cup, every rental's worth it, right?
Yeah.
But if you miss, rentals can be a tough pill to swallow. Mm-hmm. Now, McFarland has done a pretty good job over the last couple of years of walking that line of going out and getting guys that are rentals, but not really rentals.
Like taking the risk, but like setting that expectation of you can stay.
Right. Some have worked well. Brock Nelson right now. Some have not worked great. Lindgren last year was not a great rental and walked, which walked probably because the Avs were like, we don't really want you to come back.
Right.
But yeah, there's some of both there. And the ones that you rent and walk if you don't win don't feel good.
No.
So
not at all.
Something you do have to balance there. I don't know that I expect the Avs to move aggressively, but I really wonder, to circle back around, do we think the Olympic break will be a deadline for teams to get stuff done?
Yes and no, because I think there's also something to be said about some of that showcase talent on an Olympic roster, potentially elevating or declining a player's value. You look at how they're performing with guys that are not their own necessarily.
A lot of people focus in on U.S. and Canada, right? And you're not going to trade for too many guys on U.S. and Canada.
No.
Those are too big of teams. But you look at the bottom of a Finnish team roster. You look at Czechia and some of these other teams that there are going to be some NHL guys maybe towards the bottom of lineups that are going to go to the Olympics for these nations. And that's where maybe some value can be found.
That's where, that's kind of where I'm going with that is you've got an option for some of that depth to sit there and look at how they're performing on a national stage where some of that chemistry may be built, may not be built. You're looking for them to either elevate themselves, set their value, or I mean, I don't know, 2 weeks is a long time for negotiations for somebody else to kind of like swoop in and say like, hey, we want to kind of get in on talks for these players. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see a lot of, work before that freeze happens just to keep other teams from swooping in on players that they've got their eyes on. At the same time, though, like I expect this to be a very, very busy trade deadline day for a lot of other teams waiting up until that wire.
Well, and make no mistake, just because rosters are frozen doesn't mean work isn't getting done.
Right. No, that's, But that's what I'm saying is like, I don't know if I'm, a team that's buying at the deadline, if I'm super comfortable in, letting a player sit like on, unattended to for 2 weeks while another team can come in and be like, hey, I heard they're talking. I heard like that's just 2 weeks of talk where I'm like, I might be potentially losing out on something that could better my team. So like, can I keep that from happening by making this happen before that freeze? I mean, if there are other teams willing to take that risk, okay, cool. But again, I expect it to be very busy up until March. Yeah.
Chat talking about some of Chris Farland's mistakes, including Lars Eller. I give him a little bit of a pass on Lars Eller, only because Lars Eller was acquired to be a bottom six center when the Avs went out and got him, and was playing high 2C minutes at the end of it all because the Avs were just so injured.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of unpredictability there where you can't know how injured the Avs were going to be come playoff time, and that didn't shake out the Avs' way.
Is it just me? I don't know. I look around the league too, and like bringing that into like a now lens and saying like the league is dealing with some injury bug type situations.
The Avs gave it to everyone else for this year.
I was going to say the Avs, the only issue they're really having right now consistently is Logan O'Connor.
Yep, which is a weird one. Keeps on kind of drifting, but
it doesn't sit well with me that that's the situation the Avs are in right now when this much of the season remains too. Like, how lucky have they been to have only missed Nichushkin for as long as they have, to have gotten back Gerard, to have only missed out on Blackwood and Wedgwood for as long as they have, and still be where they are now.
Yeah. Is there a little bit of luck there? I think so. But also current injury luck has no impact on later injury luck. You can just keep getting lucky. That's allowed. Plenty of teams do it. Not Carolina this year, but...
Oh, no. No, Florida and Dallas, too, running into that as well. Like, it's... Wow. But, no, that's my whole point, too, is, like, how long does that run for a team like Colorado? I'm hoping that's, the situation they run up until the end of playoffs. Yep. Up until their run, which is hopefully them lifting the Stanley Cup. But it makes you wonder, like, how... Like, is that something they should prepare for come trade deadline?
I mean, I think the goal is a Stanley Cup. Yeah. So if I could tell you going out and getting X guy guarantees you a cup, I would do it yesterday. Yeah. But I'm not that smart. I can't see the future
You're
that
not
well,
a fortune teller? Really?
As much as I like to bust out our crystal ball, I'm not I cannot see the future.
I don't know, the way some of those bets hit.
Sometimes, I hit a couple the other night. Sometimes it works out that way. Parsonen, bad trade. No argument there. That one did not work at all for the Avs. That one was no value. Instead of being mad about trades, we do need to take our first break of the show, though. So let's shout out a couple of sponsors like our presenting Bet365. Get ready for an epic day of fun, games, and of course, great drinks. Get in with the Beer Olympics. That's the DNVR Beer Olympics over at the Chicken and Pickle. You're going to want to get to their Thornton location, and it's free to join. On December 27th, DNVR is hosting the Beer Olympics, and all you need to do is RSVP at thednvr.com/events. We'll have tons of fun games from beer pong. Personally, my favorite is cornhole with a beer in my hand, so whatever type of fun you're looking for, you can get with it at the Beer Olympics at the Chicken and Pickle. You can challenge DNVR diehards as well as some of the DNVR crew will be there for some friendly competition, and you get to soak up the lively atmosphere. Whether you're a beer lover or just in it for the laughs, this event is where the good times flow. Don't miss out and come join the party. Each RSVP includes 2 free drink tickets at the Chicken and Pickle. What's better than free beer? Come join us again, Thornton location, on December 27th for the perfect way to wrap up 2025. We can't wait to see you over there at the Chicken and Pickle for the Beer Olympics today. Once you've enjoyed the Beer Olympics, make sure you're also getting over with the presenting sponsor of this show at Bet365. You can jump in with them, use code DNVR365 when you sign up, put $10 in your account, and bet $5 on anything. Win or lose that $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bets. That's like free money to bet with and have a little bit of fun over at Bet365. Bet365 is an official partner of the Colorado Avalanche, and when you're betting on hockey, they have an early payout bonus. If you go up by 3 goals on the team you bet to win, you get paid immediately. You don't have to wait for the bet to come in. You don't have to worry about a potential comeback. Your bet hits no matter what if they go up by 3. Of course, you can bet on a lot more than just hockey there too. They have parlay boosts all across the site. Whatever sport you're looking at, there's always a fun bet to be had. So bet that $5 and get the $150 in bonus bets, which you can use pretty much everywhere on the site. Go have fun with some Bet365. When you do gamble with them, of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Let's get into a couple of those trades that were made, I guess, last week now, or earlier in the week. Yeah, last week. Weeks are blended together at this point. Phil Danault gets moved to Montreal for a second-round pick. And then Mason Marchment gets moved for a second and a fourth out of Seattle to Columbus. Let's start with the Danault one, because I think this is a more interesting one from the Avs perspective at the very least. A name that had come up in our trade talks potentially as a target for the Avs. The second ends up being the Columbus Blue Jackets second, which is likely to be a top 10 pick in the second round this year. Although we'll talk about that with the Marchment deal. Not sure the Avs really could have matched that trade value. They don't have a second this year. They did have 2 seconds in 2027, but, do teams really want to wait an extra year for that pick, that, and the other thing? Is this a trade value that you would have done for Danault, or is a second enough that you would have passed?
Yeah, given, again, where the Avs sit with assets, I'm not sure I'm as willing, seeing what Montreal gave up, that I'm like, okay, that's a good thing. Like, I don't know. The Avs are in a spot where future building has been really, really tough. And if you can get started on that sooner rather than later, I'd rather they do that. They don't have what that took necessarily, or at least on the same level that Montreal was able to give. And so, like, that's where I sit, and I'm like, if the Avs missed out on this, okay, cool. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded it if the Avs went out and did it, but again, assets have to make sense, right? Since the Avs didn't have a second this year, maybe they called and LA said, well, we want Ilya Nabokov or something, and the Avs are just like, nah, we're not doing that. That's not on the table. So
not at all.
I do think this is a problem the Avs may run into this year, of having trouble finding a good dance partner when it comes to the assets they have and what people want. It might be hard to find a trade that everyone's going to be happy with.
At least a trade that gives them immediate, return.
Sure.
Right? Because like they do have, some things looking ahead to the 2027 draft and 2028, 2029, obviously. But it seems like a lot of teams are kind of in that situation where if they're making trades like that, they want the immediate return out of it, and at least something relatively soon. And given it, like, I feel like I would put the Avs in that same boat Like, given how they've drafted recently, I would love to see something here in the next couple of years where they hold on to a lot of that large capital, given where their window's at right now, given what the team looks like right now. Like, they have the option to do that, hang on to some of those bigger assets, some of that bigger draft capital, and utilize it to their advantage for their depth, prospect wise.
I think I might be more on team trade it all for stuff.
Okay, fair.
Just because I'm short-sighted and want to win right now, and the future is the future's problem more than anything else.
Gosh, I feel like the future has been the Avs' problem for a while.
Yeah,
too,
well,
and I'm
when your cup window's 10 years long,
yeah,
that's what happens.
No, and that's what makes this, I think, as difficult as it is too, because they have extended that window for an extended period of time.
For sure.
Like, and I think that window is still going to be wide open 5 years from now, and that it's what makes this team so good. But elongating that even further with some of that depth, that forward or that goalie or defensive depth you could get with some of these trades. Avs have not been known for their, trades as of late, or not trades, their drafts as of late, and picking up good guys that are staying in the system. And
it's been borderline untenably bad past the first round. So
that's where I would really like to see them improve. And if you can elongate that by having good drafts and finding guys who you can keep and hold on to in the system, not only keep and hold on to, but that can produce too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know as though I'm willing, like the idea of that, and for them to be able to build on a lot of that prospective reward I don't know, makes a lot of sense for me given where the team is at currently.
I mean, who's the last top 6 player that the Avs drafted, or like high end of the roster? Makar?
Yeah.
I guess Byram?
Maybe, but even then, too.
Like, there's been a lot of guys that there was hope for that never really got there. Go all the way back to Tyson Jost.
I mean, I think of ALLCITY, too.
Yeah, ALLCITY, not even really an NHLer, but
No.
even guys that have cracked the NHL. Alex Newhook never really became anything more than a 3C. Justin Barron is a everyday defender, NHL defender now, but he's like a bottom pairing guy.
I'm interested to see what Cal Ritchie turns into.
Notorious non-believer in Calgary, and he has not looked very good in New York, to be honest.
Yeah. No, and that's why I'm saying is like that's what makes that so interesting.
Yeah.
Is like I'd love to see them improve on that, and they've made changes in the front office to hopefully improve on that moving forward. But the only way you can move forward with that is holding
actual
on.
Picks
Yeah, you
to
need
make. You're not
picks
wrong.
that aren't
You're not
fourth
wrong.
round and below.
Yeah.
Like, what are you supposed to do with you can't always find diamonds in the 4th round. It's really, really difficult to do that.
But you got to do it on occasion.
Yeah, on occasion, but the Avs have not been very good at that, and I'd like to see them give themselves a little more.
Sure,
I don't know if I'd call it luck, but more options higher in the draft.
Their best prospect in the post-Cup era certainly is a trade for Gavin Brindley. And it's not to say the Avs don't do good things. Helleson is an NHLer. He's second pairing on a bad team, maybe. He would not be second pairing on the Avs.
No.
Put it to you that way. He probably wouldn't even be in the Avs lineup. Anyway, derailed us a little bit there. I did want to move away from the Avs a little bit because this Danault trade situation is something. This was a weird thing. One, we can bring up the Pacific standings if you have them, Tiff. LA's in a playoff spot, and they're trading away pieces. Now, I know Danault had not produced at all in LA, and it was kind of an awkward spot. Despite that, his underlines were really good. And then we have this. People are reporting Danault asked for a trade. Danault's agent is saying that's completely false. I guess, first of all, do we even really know what happened here? And second of all, did some of the silliness maybe scare teams off of trading for Danault?
Maybe. I wish I knew what to make of that. it
Me
really
too.
is like a very interesting conversation, and it starts to look a bit messy, but at the same time, like if Danault is somebody who can help you win now, regardless of that, like if you're looking at him as like a player is not going to be here long term, whatnot, why would that scare you? Like if that's a player who can contribute now, like barring a Mikko Rantanen I don't want to be here
Sure.
situation, like I don't see why some of that craziness kind of scares you off. Like what's the hurt in calling and asking, even if there's the rumor that you ask for a trade, that's going to bring more phone calls, I imagine, but what's the hurt? What are they going to do? Say no? Versus like if you don't call
no
at
harm,
all,
no
like,
foul. Yeah.
Right? Like the worst they can do is say a no. So like that's kind of where I sit with that.
Call it all, you end up giving Luka Doncic away to the Lakers for nothing is what happens. So
yeah, maybe.
let the league know he's available. If you're gonna
Right. And so that's kind of where I sit with that, is like, if anything too, like it's a great marketing strategy there too, because like you're making yourself more available. You've got the options there to really pick and choose where you want to go.
Yeah,
Or like
true.
if you are asking for a trade, like that's got to be part of that negotiation. Is like, okay, whoever calls, like I want in on. Like obviously you got to do what you got to do. It's a business,
Of course.
but at the same time, like you get a little bit more freedom there, I imagine.
Yeah, I would think so. You look at the rest of the Pacific. The Pacific is not very good.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the San Jose Sharks are in a playoff spot kind of explain that. But I do think we're starting to see some clarity here, right? Anaheim, very likely to be buyers. Vegas, always buyers. Edmonton has already traded for a goaltender, going to be buyers as they continue with McDavid and Draisaitl. Those top three are definitely buyers, and then things get interesting. LA, again, I think the Danault situation is weird. I don't know that they're necessarily buyers, but I don't think they're true sellers. As you're playing out Kopitar's last season, and Doughty is still there.
I guess that's what's so interesting for me too, is with the retirement looming over the Kings, would you not want to hold on and be
That you would think
the buyer
so.
situation?
You would
Like you
think.
want it with as well as they're doing. It's just very confusing to me. So it makes you wonder what underlying might be happening in LA or what's kind of going on with that. But I digress.
This is a tweet from I don't even know who, so don't take this too seriously. But somebody at some point tweeted out, it's interesting that Danault and over the offseason Gavrikov, arguably LA's two smartest players, both wanted out and now are no longer with the team. Not that my heavy bias against Ken Holland is, I'm trying to keep it under wraps at this point, but
it sets off some red flags.
Yep.
For me, that's for sure.
And then the rest of that, the Sharks, they're kind of that up-and-coming young team that aren't really buyers or sellers. If there's good value, they'll sell off some of their veterans or whatever. But
I think the Sharks are one of those teams, like, however far they can get this year, they'll be happy given, where they were last year.
yeah, I agree.
And, like, if they can kind of sit pretty with the team they have now, I don't think they're going to be a particularly competitive team if they do get into the playoffs. I mean, they've got a lot of young talent, but
Destined for first-round exit, for sure. Yeah.
So, like, that just kind of screams to me like they're on the up and up, and this season is proof of that.
Yeah.
So
Agree. It's a free roll and a fun team, even if they aren't necessarily as good as some people think.
Mr. Celebrini Glazer over here.
I love Macklin Celebrini, but the Sharks aren't that good.
Yeah.
Nick.
That's a fight with a wall there. So I hate to tell you, friend.
And then the other three, Calgary, Vancouver, and Seattle, I think are all pretty clearly should be sellers. I know Calgary has been playing a little bit better of late, but let's be real.
Right.
And Vancouver and Seattle have already actively sold off pieces. So the Pacific does feel a little bit set on who's buying and who's selling. I do want to get into the other trade made by Seattle last week. But before we do that, we do need to take our second break of the show. So let's shout out a couple more of our sponsors. Fire on the Mountain is Denver's favorite local wing joint. Come try some of the best wings in Colorado. They've got hormone-free, antibiotic-free, cage-free wings, so you know you're getting the good stuff. And they have 15 super flavorful, made-from-scratch sauces, from mild, where I live, to insanely hot and everything else in between. Whatever type of sauce you're looking for, they've got it. They've also got great craft beer and a killer cocktail list, handmade appetizers. If you're not into the wings, they've got other options like the Wagyu beef burger. They've even got vegan options. So whatever it is you're looking for, Fire on the Mountain has you covered, but it's really the wings that you want to go in for. They've got monthly specials. They've got dry rubs of the month. They've got featured cocktails. They've got it all when it comes to Fire on the Mountain. They've even got great patios because it just keeps being warm in Denver. Try their insanely hot El Jefe challenge if you dare on the spicy side of those wing eating stuff. And you can grab $5 pints on Mondays, all day happy hour on Tuesdays. And they now offer delivery from their Wash Park store. Visit one of their 2 locations, either in Highlands or Wash Park today, and get with Fire on the Mountain. Once you've got your delicious wings, you're also going to want to make sure you're taking care of your money with Monarch. Jump in with Monarch today and see your full financial picture. It's basically like a financial command center. You can add your accounts, you can add your investments, you can even track your spending. When it comes to Monarch, they'll show you a full pie chart of exactly which sections you're spending in. Maybe you'll find out you're like me and spending way too much money on food. Maybe you're like someone else and you'll find out you're spending way too much money on phone apps. Whatever it might be, Monarch tracks it all for you and shows you the best options you have. It was named some of the best apps out there in 2025, including the best budgeting app by Wall Street Journal, Forbes best app for couples, and CNBC named it one of the top finance tech companies in the world. So get with Monarch today. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code DNVR at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code DNVR and get your finances in order. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. The other trade made, as mentioned, Seattle traded Mason Marchment to Columbus for a second and a fourth. Columbus said other teams trading our second. We can trade our second too. Their 2027 second in this case.
That didn't last very long.
It did not. I'm not really sure what Columbus is at this point. I don't know why they're buying on Mason March. Is it really to try and make the playoffs, or is this a weird Columbus is going to get Marchment and then try to flip him for more later this year type thing?
I don't know. Columbus is another one of those weird ones too. Like, you look at a last year where they were really trying to make a push for that wild card, and now it's just like it seems like that momentum that they had following a really devastating summer, a lot of that momentum to try and, play that season for Johnny Gaudreau seemed to kind of fall off a little bit. And I say that with, I want to see Columbus succeed so badly, but it's just not there.
They're the only team in the East under 500.
Yeah. So if you've got, I guess, half the season to prove everybody wrong and make a giant comeback. And I will say, yes, they're sitting at 34 points on the season, but for the most part, like, the East is one of those situations you can make that kind of comeback with as close as it is. So, I mean, if that's obviously every GM and team in the league, their goal is a Stanley Cup. So, of course, like, that's all they're going to tell you after a trade like this is, yes, we're trying to win a Stanley Cup. We're trying to bring a championship back to our home state, home city, home team, what have you. But and if that's what Columbus is doing, more power to them. If they can do it, awesome. Like, I love that comeback story, but
no faith.
I don't. I just it is a little hard to understand.
Yeah, my brain won't allow me to let it be anything, but they're going to try to flip him again at the deadline type of move, because I just don't think, on one hand, they're only 6 points out of a playoff spot, 7 points out of a playoff spot with a game in hand. So it could happen. The East is ridiculously tight. On the other hand, they have to climb over every team in the East to get to that playoff spot. It just feels like it's going to be hard for them to justify buying.
Yeah.
Come January, February, March.
Yep.
And so my question then is, if they do end up out of it, if Mason Marchment is on the block, any interest at all?
For the player and the grit he can provide, yes. But I don't know as though with the history there that this is a move that Colorado makes. I will be very interested to see. I would be very interested to see if that worked out at all. But I don't know. Given what happened with Dallas and a lot of the turmoil there in the playoffs and last season, I don't see it working out chemistry-wise. I wonder if it almost... like, the Avs are running with some really good chemistry right now up and down their roster. I'm curious as to how adding a Mason Marchment would affect that, if that makes any sense.
So on one hand, I think Marchment could be an interesting guy in the sense of certainly the Avsosphere has been obsessed with replacing Nazem Kadri, and that's maybe more of a 2C conversation. But if you're looking some of the pestiness, some of the acting, Marchment does a lot of those things that gets under team skin, that does that type of stuff. And I think that could be an interesting ad, especially in a world where maybe we feel like Ross Colton could be the odd man out of this forward core. Colton does bring a certain amount of pestiness to his game that Marchment could help balance if you were to move on from someone like Ross. Not saying the Avs are, but if they go out and get a 3C, where does Ross Colton's spot in the lineup end up? You have a conversation there. The thing is, go look at Mason Marchment's playoff performances. It's not very good.
Nope.
Last year he had 5 points in 18 playoff games, completely disappeared against Edmonton. I would have serious concerns about Mason Marchment as a playoff piece if you are a team that is looking to buy on someone like that.
And I mean, this is a very similar conversation to the one we had after the game yesterday, too, is if you add that to a Colorado where you can get a lot of success out of depth guys, is that something you maybe become more hopeful on with a Marchment, adding him to a Colorado where you can see some of that scoring bloom a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair that it's pretty common to see someone get traded to the Avs and they have a little bit of a production bump to some extent. So, yeah, there would be some of that there. And, you know, credit the Avs have a front office and analytical team that do their research and generally know what they're getting themselves into and have been very good about predicting guys improving in Colorado. The thing with Marchment, though, is I don't know how much room there really is for that, because it's not like he was playing a minor role in Dallas. Like, he was getting 16 minutes a playoff game last year. And it's not like Dallas is a bad team either. That is a team that was maybe not to the level of depth that the Avs have this year, but certainly were a deep team, and Marchment struggled in that playoff run. Now, Marchment's been a very good regular season guy when he was in Dallas. He had a 50-point season and just shy of a 50-point season in his last year in Dallas. This year with the Kraken, it's been a little bit slower. He has not shot the puck well at all this year. So
it's also on a iffy Kraken team.
Yeah, that Kraken team is bad. That is totally fair. This Columbus team he's going to is probably bad.
Yeah.
So maybe you can look through those statistics a little bit. But it's, again, for the price, a second and a fourth. And in the Avalanche lineup, Marchment is going to be hard stuck as a third-line guy. Not super interested if it were me. I'll put it that way.
And if I'm being completely honest, too, when I look at potential needs for this team, yes, a gritty guy who can get on other teams' nerves would be helpful, but I'm almost looking for physicality.
Which is
somebody who's
Marchment doesn't really do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, you're getting another guy who can get on other teams' nerves, yeah, but I don't see how in the Stanley Cup playoffs, where you see different hockey oftentimes than what's played during the regular season, that physicality is a lot more valued.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
The Avs, I can't say, are a super, super physical team. So what is Marchment adding in that regard that I could see being valued here?
Fair enough. Cool. We don't have to overthink this one. The Avs should not have traded for Marchment, and they didn't. I'm good with that.
That's a consensus. Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't know. Like, that's... For me, too, and looking at a Marchment, you mentioned that kind of third line stuck role, too.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of another piece in I'm glad the Avs did not go for this bubble.
Sure.
And I would like to see them continue on that trajectory, just because we're already kind of struggling to see some of that production on the third line come to fruition.
Yep.
And so if that's already, a question of Marchment's ability, how is, being added to that third
really
line?
Solving anything at that point.
Right. So
Fair.
I don't know. There's a bunch of different factors that play into that for me.
Yeah, I'm perfectly comfortable with Marchment not being the dude. I did think it was an interesting conversation because I know that that's a guy that is going to get trade traction again if Columbus falls out of it and if we get to that point in the season. Do not think it makes a ton of sense for the Avs, though.
I do think it's interesting in looking at Daily Faceoff that they have Marchment slotted on that first line for Columbus, who's also dealing with some injuries right now.
Yeah.
So that's part of that conversation too. But it does make you wonder when looking at it through Columbus's lens, what he could
What's the
provide.
plan? Yeah.
What is going on here? Like, what is Marchment gonna do? Are you that? Again, bottom of the East. Are you in that poor of a position to sit there and say Mason Marchment is the fix to all of our problems?
It's the type of trade that I hate. And I'm not, maybe there's some internal workings here. I'm not super close with Columbus. I don't really know what their game plan is, what their organization's at. But doing a trade like picks for Marchment for a team like Columbus feels like doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. And those trades don't generally lead to good for anyone.
And especially, too, giving up picks in a situation where, given where you were at in the standings, given where you could end at the end of the season, do you not want to try to use that to boost your future?
Right.
At all? If
you're not
trying
very
to be
good right now. How are you going to get good in the future?
Right. If you don't have those draft picks, I don't know. It's just very confusing to me.
Yeah. From Seattle's side, makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
They're horrible. They're trying to get picks. I get that.
Right.
But
and I mean, if you can, I don't know, steal from Columbus's dime, I mean, more power to you. It's just, again, from Columbus's side of things, this makes almost, if there was less than 0% sense, that's where I would be for this.
yeah.
So.
It's obviously hindsight is 2020. When you look back on trades, you're able to cheat a little bit and see who was right and who was wrong. But sometimes you see a trade and you just go, that's weird.
Yeah, it's where I'm hoping the Avalanche don't end up this season, and not that they have much wiggle room to do that.
Yeah,
but
and that's
still.
I do want to get into that next a little bit with the Central Division, but we can take our final break of the show first. So let's shout out a couple more of our sponsors. Get with Raising Cane's today if you're craving some delicious chicken fingers. Make every meal merry this holiday season with Raising Cane's cook-to-order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast, and, of course, that delicious Cane's sauce. When you're out and about, you want to get in on that. I love their chicken fingers, I'm not going to lie, but I would eat cardboard if I put it in the chicken finger sauce. They also have fantastic drinks, the jugs of freshly brewed tea and freshly squeezed lemonade. There's no need to stress this season. You can order your favorite chicken fingers on the go at raisingcanes.com. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love. And once you got your Raising Cane's, you probably need a car to go out and get it, or anywhere you're heading, get with the official vehicle of the DNVR with Toyota. Toyota is a vehicle for everyone, whether it be an SUV, a truck, a sedan, a coupe, a hatchback, a crossover, or anything else in between. They've got it all with 17 different models with all-wheel drive available, like the Epic 4Runner. And they also offer more low and zero emission vehicles than any other automaker combined. So to get in with that, you can get 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, even hybrid trucks like the Tundra iForce Max. They've got SUVs to take command of the road or the trail. Wherever you're going, wherever you're headed, Toyota has your back. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mount States Toyota in Denver, Stevens Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of not just DNVR, but the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche too. Toyota, let's go places. Last period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. I did want to pull up the Central Division standings too and just take a little bit of a look at the landscape here. The Blackhawks predictively have fallen off a cliff without Connor Bedard, so they're back into the cellar conversation. The Winnipeg Jets exist. With Connor Hellebuck back, we'll see if they can turn it around.
I expect a little bit of a bump from that.
Don't know that they're in full burn it down territory just yet.
No.
Nashville is a team for sure. We expect them to be sellers. And then you have the top five, which I don't know. St. Louis has always been pretty adverse to selling. Utah's trying to finally pull themselves together and be a playoff team. And then Minnesota, Dallas, and the Avs are kind of above the watermark, is obviously going to be buyers. In Minnesota's case, already made a huge buy this year. But I wanted to just kind of go over the cap situation when you look at especially those top three teams. Colorado currently sits with about $2.5 million of cap space, but at the deadline, they're projected to have around $7 million to work with. Now, that might get cut into a little bit when LOC comes back and is healthy, and there could be some other factors there, but the Avs are going to have enough cap space to do stuff.
Yeah.
Now, that might not be enough to do something really, really huge without moving out a piece, but if the Avs want to make moves, the cap space should be there. Minnesota has about the same amount of space as the Avs now after the big Quinn Hughes move with shuffling some of those contracts around. If they want to do stuff still, they can. And then you have Dallas. Dallas is in a weird spot because they don't have a ton of cap space. Today, they have about the same as the Avs in Minnesota, but because of the injuries they've been dealing with, they're not currently accruing any cap space. They're dipping into some of that LTIR usage, and I know they got Matt Duchene back recently. They just lost Tyler Seguin, and if they decide to declare Tyler Seguin out for the playoffs, they get a bunch of cap relief there.
Yep.
So it's a little unclear exactly where Dallas is at. Is Dallas going to really make a big move? Their name has been tied to Kadri. Their name has been tied to a handful of other potential high-end options. Are we really going to get into a Central Division arms race?
Given, the situation with Sagan, I think changes a lot for that team.
It does.
So if they want to be buyers here at the deadline, I would not be surprised. The team that I think scares me a little more than that, though, is a Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
That's what I'm worried about is all of this focus is going into, okay, well, Dallas is the only, head-to-head situation we really need to worry about. And Minnesota taking that and running with it and catching an Avs team off guard maybe a little bit and saying no,
can't overlook them.
This
for sure.
is we're just as important too, and that's the point that I think that the Minnesota Wild are trying to get up to, and they have that full capability. Yes, you look at a game like last night's and wonder okay, well the Avs just did that to them with their best goaltender in net, with the best defenseman besides Cale Makar on the ice with him. So there's that to wonder about, but that's the situation that I think scares me a little bit more, is a Minnesota Wild becoming this, unbeatable team, running maybe into a situation they're trying to put themselves into, it maybe a Florida Panthers like last year, where they're really trying to load themselves up. This is not a team you would start out a season with, but they can get to that point to make themselves a dangerous playoff competitor.
Yeah, you definitely can't overlook them already, right? Mm-hmm. You sleep on a team, you will get punished for it. But Minnesota is interesting. It's Dallas that is tied to a guy like Kadri right now. Mm-hmm. It feels like maybe Minnesota should be interested in those conversations. And I know, is Kadri really a 1C? Probably not, but Minnesota doesn't really have a 1C.
They could really use that.
They need center help. Dallas is weird because I think they're closer to the sense of the Avalanche in that most things Dallas would pick up is a luxury more than an absolute need. Mm-hmm. I guess their defense probably does need something.
Right.
Unless you really want to keep playing Ilya Lyubushkin. But Dallas isn't needing to make major moves to fill holes in their lineup necessarily. In the same way that Colorado are significantly less, to be honest. Colorado's already has a contender championship caliber lineup. Now, that doesn't mean they should sit on their laurels, but you look at a Minnesota and it's like, all right, this team needs some pieces to really get into that conversation. So in that regard, I'm just not that worried about Minnesota until they make the moves. If we get to the deadline and they do something crazy,
that's more my worry. Yeah. Is like that. Right now, I don't look at, even with the addition of Quinn Hughes, like I don't see this as a particularly dangerous team.
Nope.
What scares me is the potential for them before trade deadline day comes.
All right. I get that. And that's kind of it. We don't need to go down the Dallas versus Avs rabbit hole again. At a certain point, the Avs are just going to have to beat them in the playoffs. That's all it comes down to, regardless of personnel.
I mean, they need to get their guys back first, too.
For sure. Like Dallas has been injury-riddled this year.
Yeah, there's no way Sagan... as much as we say, like, it depends on what Sagan does or what happens with him before the playoffs. Like, ACLs are difficult. Like, when they happen in season, it is really, really difficult to get that guy back before playoffs. And so I can't imagine they're expecting him back before playoffs start, or even during with the new rule.
Yeah,
coming into it with the playoff cap.
I assume they'll have to rule him out.
You have to.
But, like, I don't know. Every time I think, oh, well, that's not a problem for the Avs anymore, the dude miraculously comes back in 4 months. And I'm like, what is going on? How is this happening?
Yep.
But, yeah, I would fully expect Dallas to use that cap on whatever they feel like they need.
And so at that point, too, then the expectation is that you're getting all of that depth back. You're missing a Lee and Bischel.
Yeah.
Getting all of that.
Well, he'll be back.
Yeah, most definitely. But again, that's the expectation. And so if that is the expectation, not putting any of those guys on LTIR to use that cap space with the expectation that they'll play in playoffs, you got to think of big moves imminent for Dallas.
Probably. It's never easy in the NHL.
No.
But I do think we can pretty much focus in on that. At least, you get to the conference finals and you're playing whoever from the Pacific. That's a different conversation. But to be honest, outside of Dallas and Minnesota, the bottom 5 teams in the Central Division are that meme from Mad Men or whatever show it is. The one with John Hamm. It's probably not Mad Men. I don't think about you at all.
Yeah. Love to never see them again.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
So I'm not really a believer that you should build your team to one specific opponent. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to go 4 rounds in the playoffs and take on all comers. But if you're looking to add minor pieces here and there that may specifically help you against Dallas and Minnesota, the Avs should probably be interested in that.
And the good thing about that, too, is if you're building those to get past a Dallas and a Minnesota in the earlier rounds, you're setting yourself up for more than enough success coming against most of the Eastern Conference teams.
True.
Heading into a late playoff push.
Yeah.
Minus a Florida, which...
The healthy version of Florida.
Healthy version, anyway. But, I mean, even then, like, they have a lot of physicality that worries me against the Avalanche. I look at... I don't know. Those depth pieces, though, like if that's what you can build to bolster yourself and do what you did to Minnesota for 4 to 7 games, like that's you're setting yourself up for long-term success, even if you're catering that way. Yep.
And that's the goal at the end of the day, is long-term success, or at least, playoff success. Mm-hmm.
Which we've spent the entire season talking about a team with championship traits. Like the Avalanche have had the luxury that not a lot of teams have coming into a season cleanly.
Yep.
Where, like, I can't say as though my mind has changed from the beginning of the season and saying, like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do to make this team better than it already is?
Yeah, there's... barring the nonsense of Sidney Crosby or something, there's not a ton of things that make the Avs significantly better.
Yeah. That's more of a vibe thing than anything. That's to make Nathan MacKinnon happier than he already is.
He seems pretty happy this year as is, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying, though. So I don't know. Like, it's the Avs are in a really, really good spot right now.
They are.
That's where this depth conversation becomes a little harder for me too, because like even depth wise, like it's what are you gonna change?
Not a lot.
Other than making
drop
yourself
LOC in the lineup for Kiviranta and call it good.
Yeah, like that's. I mean, just to bring it all back full circle to the beginning of the episode, like I don't see a whole lot of need for this team right now, outside of physicality. Like if you're taking, positional stuff out of it,
sure.
Like physicality really is the only thing that I see this team lacking right now. And they're doing just fine without it. But when playoffs come, when does that become more of a need?
I think I don't know that anything's a need. There are wants, there are luxuries, but I don't know that the Avs are going out and saying we absolutely need this. Jared Bednar wants a 3C. Yeah. But I don't know that they need a 3C.
This is the conversation for a team we're saying we hope can get to 60 points before Christmas. Right. Like that's a potential
angle that the Avs can take with the trade deadline or whenever they decide to do their business this year is, hey, we're just going to go out and do the thing that makes us the most better. It might be a little bit. It might be a lot of bit. It might be what people feel like is a need for a center. It might be a wing. It might be a defenseman. Whatever it is, it feels a lot more like bonus than it does we have to do this. So, great position to be in.
Yeah, I'll say the same thing I said at the beginning of the episode. Don't fix what isn't broken. There's really, like, aside from, playing consistent 60, it's a consistent 60-minute game.
Yep.
Like, that's really the only issue the Avs are running into right now. And they're still winning hockey games.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah, just a couple. But, like, that's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be in. I don't have many complaints with the Avs. I think we have a couple of super chats to get to. $7 from Benny, who says, "Hey Rudo, what did you ask Santa Claus to get you for Christmas this year?"
Toner, hopefully.
I'm sure. That's on the chat to get me that, not Santa. Chat's got to do that. I didn't ask for much this year. I'm just hanging out, vibing. Got some Pokemon cards. That's always fun.
Yeah.
But more Avs 60 points, I guess. That's what I'm asking for Santa.
Is that something Santa can deliver on?
Who would be Santa on the Avs?
Oh, gosh. Brent Burns.
He's got the beard for it.
If we're talking charismatically, too, I feel like that goes to Scott Wedgwood.
I'm down. I'm down for jolly old Scott.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about that, coming up over the break, Bailey's got a piece that's going to be a little bit of Avalanche gift giving.
Yeah, oh God. We've got some inside jokes. We've got a fun insight to some conversations. It's going to be a fun one, you guys.
Make sure you become a DNVR diehard to read all of the amazing work that Bailey does over there, alongside AJ's pieces, too. Good stuff. Get a bunch of perks when you become a diehard, like a shirt when you sign up for free, included with your membership price. So go check that out. Also, go check out our sweet takeover on January 10th. Yeah. You want to go see an Avs game in style and hang out with the DNVR crew, that's a great way to do it. The DNVR.com/events to get tickets to that. And then our last super chat from the incredible Drew himself, $14 says, "Roast my roster New Year's edition. We all need a little more roster Rizzler in our lives." No.
No.
I can only do so many roster roasts in a season, all right?
See, that sounds like fun, though.
Oh, we'll get there for the actual trade deadline. Don't worry. There will be roster roasting, but...
Very excited.
I can't do it for every roster freeze. That's too many. That's too many in a season.
Oh, God. I don't know if as though... that's it. Are you just asking for your ego to go down the drain at that point? Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I think the highest grade the Rizzler has ever given anyone is like 6 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. All right. I mean, you do you at that point. Like, you know you're setting yourself up for failure. But
you put your roster on the roast my roster to get roasted. That's what it's for.
Yeah. God, that's funny.
That's all I had for this one, Bailey. Any final thoughts on the NHL trade situation?
Nothing from me.
Sweet. We are going to get out of here. Last game before the holiday break tomorrow. Pre-game, watch along, post-game. AJ will be around for those, so come join for that. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.